Well, thank you for watching our podcast again this week. Let me talk about two things here for just a few minutes. One is the wildfire situation in New Mexico. And then second, I wanted to mention the Farm Bill, which we've spent most of the week working on here in the Senate. First on wildfires, this is obviously the worst wildfire season in the history of our state. We've had the largest fire in the history of our state, measured by the number of acres burned. That's the Whitewater Baldy fire. We've had the most destructive wildfire in the history of our state, measured by the number of residences destroyed, and that's, of course, the Little Bear fire in Lincoln County. So the two together, and other fires as well, have made this the worst season that anyone has ever seen in New Mexico. The main causes, of course, are the dry conditions, the increased temperatures. There has been a major effort by the Forest Service to try to fight these fires. Over $50 million has been spent by them on the two fires combined. And each of the fires had, I think the Whitewater Baldy fire had over 1,200 people fighting it. The Little Bear fire had over 1,400 at one point. So there's been a lot of effort. We obviously need to, now that the fires are getting under control and essentially under control, we need to learn the lessons that can be learned from this and try to make preparations to avoid this kind of a disastrous fire season in the future. I hope we're able to do that, but those lessons aren't real clear yet, but hopefully they'll become clear. The Farm Bill, which is a exercise the Congress goes through every 5 years, is a very important piece of legislation, important to our state in several ways. First of all, it covers the funding for all of the various nutrition programs that the Department of Agriculture involves itself in, and that's school lunch programs, farmers market programs, what's now called the SNAP program, which is the food stamp program. It's the new name, supplemental nutrition. I can't tell you all the acronym names there, but at any rate, it is the food stamp program. We have a lot of people in our state dependent on those programs, and for that reason it's important that we get the legislation enacted. It also, of course, has direct support and insurance support for farmers in the various agricultural sectors of our state. Dairy, farming of various kinds that occurs throughout New Mexico, and all of that is assisted. There's a lot of funding in the bill for conservation to try to preserve the land and keep it from being over-farmed, and to preserve water as well. I proposed an amendment which was not ultimately adopted. We decided not to call it for a vote, but we did get some additional commitment from the sponsors of the legislation for more attention to the depletion of groundwater in the Ogallala Aquifer on the east side of New Mexico. This is a subject that I've worked on for many years. It's a continuing problem for our state and for West Texas and for many of the states that overlie the Ogallala Aquifer, which is, of course, a very large underground aquifer in the middle part of our country. At any rate, we've been able to pass the Farm Bill through the Senate. It's now up to the House to come together and try to see if they can agree to what we've proposed or insist on changes, and then I hope we can get a bill to the President soon. But that's been the main activity this week. It's been a productive week in the Congress, and I hope we can have a productive week next week as well before we go out on a 4th of July recess break.